Hello, welcome to Duck It. In this video, we're going to be changing the oil on my 2023 Suzuki 200. Although this is a duck hunting channel, of course, servicing the duck boat is going to count on that. So if you are new, please go ahead and like and subscribe. I'm going to be posting other boating type videos as well. It really would be appreciated. Now, I went ahead and purchased these from Amazon. It was a bundle deal, 2 oil filters, 4 liters of oil. I had to purchase the gear oil separately. They were $20 each on Amazon. This bundle, as of 2024, was $170. Some of the other places after shipping, it really was, 6 and 1 1/2 dozen the other. So if you can find it cheaper, go for it, but I'll put the links below for all of the parts, all of the numbers, the prices that I paid as of the making of this video in the show notes below. You just have to, under the title of the video, click on the little more button and it'll expand and it'll be in there. So this is the oil that you need. This is the Suzuki brand right here, the V7000 10W40. Now, it did say in the owner's manual that it would of course recommend the Suzuki brand, but if you are unable to find it, then a comparable oil would suffice. So that answers one question potentially. And then one of the other ones that I had was, if you actually could change your own oil, or would that somehow void the warranty? Because this boat is only right now at 1 year old. And talking to my dealer that I purchased the boat from, they said that no, you could change the oil, just keep the log or keep the receipts, of how many hours it was when you changed it, of course what brand that you used, just so in case that there ever is a warranty claim, that you just have proof and you can submit that and it would be fine if you change your own oil. And this is the 20-hour service, so the book, which I have labeled here for everything, all my quick references, they recommend changing the oil and the lower unit oil, so we're going to do that today. To start, I'm going to just pop these, and just like it says, pull out and rotate up. So we're going to do that. 1, 2, and then there's one on the front. 3. After that, you'll be able to pop the top off. Set that to the side. After that, we do need to take off this panel, because as you can see, the oil filter is just out of reach. To do that, there are 6 Phillips head screws. 1, 2, right here is 3, 4, 5, 6. And ignore the pollen, guys. Here in North Carolina, we don't get snow, but we do get a few inches of pollen every spring. So just bear with me on that. Now, I don't use a drill on these, I'm not going to take any chances on trying to strip it. I'll just use a manual screwdriver. That's just my opinion. So take these out. Of course, they're on there pretty good. So panels off. 2 things on that. I did have to set the camera down because actually with the Phillips head screw, they were a little too tight. So I had to use my 8mm socket here with an extender to get to most of them. But then actually this one up under the center, I needed the longer extender. So hopefully you guys do have one of those, or just they're not quite as tight as mine. And then the second thing, it was on there pretty good. Like this seal, I had to really pull. I definitely couldn't have held the camera plus done that at the same time with one hand. So it does just pop right off, especially just right over here at the hose. So don't worry about that part. And then once we're here, you have access to the actual oil filter. And again, back to the pollen, you can see I've only had this top off for 5 minutes. You can see how much pollen's just already collected. So I have my 5-gallon bucket here set up. This is where the oil drain plug is. It takes 8.5 liters. So the only other oil pan kind of drain catcher that I have here is this one. I'm not confident that it's all going to fit there, especially without spilling. So I'm just using my bucket. And before you do, go ahead and take off the cap here. just so you can get some good flow, or else you will be waiting a long time. So. And then in your toolkit that came with the boat, with the motor, you have your Allen wrench. Of course, this is on here pretty snug as well. It was on there really snug. Again, could not do it with just one hand, so be sure not to ever drop it into the bucket. And then it should spit out pretty far. It shouldn't get messy, but I do have paper towels and a water bottle handy. See, it did spill. So, let me get those. Just letting it drain again. I'm glad I went with the bucket. I mean, it's definitely still got some oil to go, and it's already getting halfway full. And then stole this idea from somebody else. You just take a water bottle and do like that, and hopefully it won't smear all down the side of your motor, at least any more than it already did on mine. So just gonna let this finish draining, and we'll plug her back up. Take off the oil filter next. Now, the owner's manual does say to replace this little crush washer here each time that you change the oil. Now, you can definitely buy these. I will put the part item number below at the link, but your toolkit comes with 3 of these. So I just decided to go ahead and use one, also because if I were to order them, it was going to take too long to get here. So I'm just going with this, but then yes, I'll always keep a couple on hand. So make sure you replace that each time. All right, now time for the filter. I already went ahead and put a towel in place just to anticipate all the oil that's going to come on out. And if you guys don't have one of these, I'll link it below. It's one of the rubber oil filter wrenches. It's going to work perfect for here because there's not a lot of room to slide it on, and then you just tighten it up, and then that way it won't put a dent or anything in these filters. And then a little tighter. There we go. That was on there pretty good. Okay. Should be able to get it from here. Yep, hand. How much oil spills out. Try to be fast when you flip it up. And then I have another towel on standby just in case. And good, hardly nothing. Look at that. So, go ahead and clean it up. I got a new one ready. For the new one, it does have this little plastic cover on there, so you definitely have to pop that off. And then, at least for changing the car, I've always learned it as you do need to pre-fill a little bit in here, but not so much that it's going to spill when you turn it horizontal. So I'm just going to put a dash of the new oil, and then maybe a little more. And then with that, you can take a little bit of that and use it for the new seal. That's good. I don't know if you guys can quite see, but letting that oil kind of soak up within the actual filter part. And there's not enough in there to actually spill if I were to flip it this way. So good for me. And then again, don't drop it in your oil down there. Definitely don't cross thread it. It's always be easy. Put it on by hand first, as tight as you can. This is actually a little in the way. Don't like that design. You think they could have moved it a little bit. Okay, there we go. So again, always by hand as tight as you can, and then use that wrench. You just want them really snug, but not overly tight. So by hand, that's what I got. And then again, this guy. Now we're gonna go righty-tighty. So start up here. I would say maybe one critique of this could be slightly wider of a rubber belt there. Just have more surface area, more grip, or even textured. I'll probably do one more little turn. I'm going to be happy with how snug that is. Oh. Try to let you guys see too. There. Okay, I'm good with that amount. So there you go. Time to add the rest of the new oil. So the owner's manual says that it takes 8.5 quarts, which is another reason I bought one of the larger kits, because a lot of them, for whatever reason, only come with 8 quarts. So you need the extra half anyways. Now I have these two different ones. I was thinking that I'm going to end up needing this one, and sure enough I was right, because this one, if you could see, that's definitely not going to be very vertical, and the oil is probably just going to end up spilling right out. So I'm going to need this one here. On the list though for next time, I'm going to get a bigger version of these, just so I don't overspill at all. Go ahead, pour sideways. Don't be in a rush on these. If you do sideways, it'll keep it from, here, I'll see if I can show you. Kind of, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, where it glugs. So I have 8 quarts inside of there, and then we need the half. So on here, it only goes up to 28, but remember there's actually 32 ounces in a quart, so we need to bring it down to the 16. And then what I like to do, even though of course I trust the manual, just in case, I'm gonna put maybe somewhere around that much in there, and then just check the dipstick just to make sure, and then of course plan on going down to that 16 number. But again, just how I do things, just my opinion. Check. Definitely need more. A little bit more, and then I'll check it. Close enough. Okay, like I said, we'll just go ahead and check. And with that dot being the full one, actually, it's looking like it's 100% full. Always double check at least. I mean, it's right up there to the full line, but the oil filter does have to soak up a little bit. Those things can actually hold quite a bit. So again, with only a couple ounces away from it being 8.5, I am going to go ahead and put that last little bit in there. So again, just about 4 ounces there. And I do believe that the oil filter alone will be able to soak up that. Yeah, 2 more. Just a splash. Pretty happy with that. And then you have your half for next time. But again, this is one of my 8 from the other set, so I have the filter. I have 7 plus a half, so I do need to find 1 more of these for the next one. But then also I do know that I have at least the bulk of it if it gets hard to find or if prices go up. So again, not afraid to buy in bulk. I'm gonna have this motor plan on the rest of my life if it'll last. But again, 20 hours, absolutely 0 issues so far. So of course, just make sure cap's all clean, and then whatever comes out of there. And the oil part will be done. Now, of course, I would go ahead and run this afterwards, but we're going to do the gear oil. And then afterwards, I would end up checking dipstick again, just making sure that it is at the right amount. Now, for the lower unit oil. Again, the manual does say that we need to do this part at the 20-hour mark, and then it's also good to look for any shavings that might be within there. Now to do this, you're going to need, it said 1.2 quarts. So yes, you do need to purchase 2 of these. You are going to need a big screwdriver, not just a standard flathead. Don't have to have this, but I'm going to give it a try. I did see this on one of the other videos that it's going to be much easier, and you can actually just pump it right from the bottom up. And then of course a catch pan. You have the oil one, which is again just for more of getting air into the system for when you drain it. You have the oil level, which I'm actually going to take it out first just to check, and then you have the actual drain screw, which is up under here. So 3 in all. I'm sure they're going to be on there pretty snug, so I'm going to do that off camera. So I took off the oil level screw only for my curiosity of trying to see inside of there, which I'm sure on the camera you cannot, even with the flashlight here. I would almost say it is slightly too low. I mean, I can see the oil right in there, but it's not all the way up to the threads. Little concerning, but also at the same time, watching another video, seeing one of the comments, they said that if you fill that up to the brim and then you turn the prop a few times, it will actually end up taking up some of that oil. So I wonder if that's what happened. But like I said, I mean, it's maybe 2 millimeters too low, I'd say. So I mean, not worried, but I'm going to put this screw back in and you'll see why. So I went ahead and put that one on there. It's pretty snug, and I did that because again, I was just checking to see how the level was initially. I broke this one loose, and by it not having one of the screws open, I'm checking to see and make sure that it does have pretty good seal in the system. So if it does, then this should only drip out very slowly. Yeah, see how it's not a smooth flow, it kind of glugs out of there. So now I'm going to go ahead and take out the other one so it can actually drain fast enough. So now when I take this one out, and these are very short screws by the way, so hopefully I don't drop it, you should see the flow speed right on up. See, there you go. Now, I don't know if I like that. I'm looking, I don't know if you can see the difference in coloration on it. Just not sure if that's normal. I'm definitely seeing a cloudy kind of green. There's some purple in there, so I'll have to look into that a little bit more. Hopefully there's not water or anything that got in there. And then while it is draining, definitely checking the bottom here. Plug, make sure. Okay, making sure this is on camera. There's going to be some shavings in there. Again, have to check and see if that's normal. I don't know, there's going to be some gear wear, of course, and this is a magnet. So we do need to clean this up and make sure that that one stays as the bottom piece. The other one, see if you notice right here, the other one does not have it. It's just flat. So don't mix them up. The magnet needs to stay at the bottom. So let that finish draining, and we'll pump the new oil in there. And you only need to take out those two. Now, shame on me. I had these little washers in my cart online, went to order them. I guess for whatever reason I actually did not. Maybe I was just comparing the prices. You're supposed to replace these with each time that you go ahead and do the gear oil. I don't have them. I wanted to go ahead though and still do the video. You would pop these off. They're on there pretty tight, so I think you actually have to like hold it while you unscrew it from it and then put the new ones on. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna put these right back on. But yes, you are supposed to replace them. And with this being a brand new motor, I do not want to take any chances on water, sand, or anything else getting up in there. So I am definitely going to order these and go ahead and do it at a later date and just end up topping off the gear oil for what little bit's going to leak out later. And the remaining gear oil is taking forever to come on out, but I'm going to probably call that pretty good. In the meantime though, I was setting up this, which is lower unit gear oil pump for quart bottles. These are quart bottles. Well, when I went to put it on there, I don't know if it's the Suzuki quart jugs here, but this definitely does not fit. So hopefully it's going to still pump. That should be the right nozzle, but we'll find out. Like I said, not ashamed to admit that this is the first time I'm trying it this way. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try to pump it while I hold as close to a perfect seal as I can and just see if that works. Fingers crossed. All right, see if it works. Again, just trying to keep great seal. Oh, it's going up in there. Now again, it's going to take 1.2 according to the manual. The oil level screw is still open so that it has some air that can come out of the top. And then also we'll keep an eye on when it starts to just overflow from there. So I know it's going to take this entire quart, so I'm not too worried about trying to keep an eye on it right now. Like I said, definitely would rather if this screwed right on. I will try to find the right one and link it below by the time I post the video. I'm going to test to make sure that it fits on these Suzuki gear oil bottles. Again, said for quart bottles, so I don't know if Suzuki's just different or not, but I'm going to return it. So this one, it did start essentially catching too much air, even though it still has about 4 ounces in there. So I'm going to go ahead and swap it and then end up pouring it back into this bottle, because again, we're going to keep most of this one for next time. Set it to the side. And then this does have like a one-way valve, which is nice, so don't have to worry about it backflowing from the bottom. Now I'm going to start watching at the top. Sorry, I can't pump and hold this seal and hold the camera, but just going to start to see when it starts to flow out of the oil level screw hole. And I start to see the oil, and it's probably going to start flowing out on the next one. see if I can do it one-handed. There it comes. So now, from what I'd seen from somebody else, is that you're supposed to spin the prop a few times, and that'll actually soak up some of the oil. Might be able to get an extra pump. Yep, there's one more, but of course it's spilling out. Clean that up, but then the manual does say to wait 10 minutes and then top it off again. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. All right, it's been 10 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and probably add one more squirt to this. 1, 2, 3. Wow, it's taking more than I thought. 4, and I see it. It's right at the very top. So I'm calling that good. I'm going to install this one first. Again, you would change the gasket here. Gonna do that here probably in a week or two as soon as they arrive. This one does not have the magnet, remember, bottom one does. I'm gonna do this first so that when I take this part out, it will not flow out very fast. So I'm gonna do that off camera. It is all buttoned up. I went ahead and took what was within the hose and pumped it back into here, just so I could, you know, clean out what was within there, and then also just so I wouldn't be too wasteful. I am going to clean up and then hook the hose onto the motor and fire up and make sure that we don't have any leaks. All right, hooking up the hose. I'm sure everyone knows how to do this for their outboard, but it's going to show y'all this. It's a little quick connect. It's easier to put in than the actual garden hose is. And then on the hose itself, all you do is pull it back, pop it on, it's on there. I have another receiver for the nozzle itself. I think it's a lot easier. I don't know, I'll put the link in the show notes below if you guys are interested, but whatever works for you. All right, fire it up. Got the flow. Not seeing any leaks from the actual filter. Water right there. I'm not seeing anything from there. Of course, it's hard to tell right now, but I'm just going to let it run for a few minutes, but not enough to where it's going to get really hot. And then I'll button it back up and we're all done. Finally all finished. As you can tell, it's starting to get a little dark outside. Not ashamed to say that it took me the better part of 2 hours to do this, but that was with filming and talking my way through everything. Of course, if I didn't have to do that, I'd still say at least over an hour job. So at least a lot of time for that. Of course, I put the side and the top back on. I did the 6 Phillips head screws by hand just so I wouldn't cross thread, and then finished it up with the 8mm socket. I will say that, I mean, it's a tight fit, which is a good thing. You don't want water to get within the engine, of course, but just make sure that you, especially on this back panel, that it's actually in the groove. That was one kind of tricky part. And then also within here as well. Like, I don't know if you can quite tell with the lighting, but there's a little split within there. So just make sure it's all lined up. And definitely something that you can do yourself. I would say you did not have to take it to the dealer for this. Now at the 100-hour mark in the service manual, I think it said you have to do the water pump, you have to do each of these again, you have to, I think, check the anodes. I'd have to go back and look. So that could be maybe questionable. Depends on how handy you are. I'm probably going to try to tackle all that myself, but we'll see. If you have not already, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me and to all the other YouTubers out there, but it only takes you a click of a button. So it really would be appreciated. If there's anything that I could have done better or that I did wrong, or just something that you know from your own experience, please comment below. Again, I plan on having this boat for years and years to come, so any little tip or trick would definitely be helpful every time I ever have to change the oil. I mean, surely you can imagine how many oil changes that's going to be over the course of 20 or 30 more years, hopefully. So really would be appreciated. Again, like and subscribe and stay tuned to the next video. Thank you.